Hello, I wanted to make a quick video giving like some tips on how to win more gunfights. I've been seeing some comments and videos saying how like I'm full of bot lobbies, everyone who they play against shoots them instantly, stuff like that. So I wanted to make this and just help out a little bit. I do want to make a quick disclaimer before I go into some of these tips though, that like it is good to just improve in general and just like get better at the game and focus on yourself. There are times that you need to understand that sometimes your team will struggle, and due to them struggling, there is just nothing you can do in the match. Like if your team is rolling them, you're just gonna get more kills. That's just how it works because they're Billy over here can't shoot you if there's like three other people shooting him, kind of thing. But if the opposite's reversed, if you have a bunch of teammates behind a rock, prone to just like getting pinned down, not doing anything, and you're just trying to push up by yourself, then everyone's gonna shoot you. So just like don't take things too harsh, and every game is different. Just take what you can and try to improve. One thing I want to add to the disclaimer also is if you ever get discouraged by like watching people's highlights or watching YouTube videos of people popping off, or watching YouTube shorts and you see someone getting like massive clips, you just got to remember, man, it's a clip and it's a YouTube video. In the end of the day, for all you know, that person could be 0 and 20 before he kills 15 people in a row. Okay, now I'm actually going to go to some tips. First one I want to talk about. In this game, you should be crouch spamming. There's really no reason not to. And the headshot damage in Battlefield, for whatever reason, is pretty low unless they're using like hollow point and specific guns. So just make yourself harder to hit and be annoying. While you're doing this also, you should only be pressing A and D to just be really obnoxious. It's also really good for gathering information. You can quickly peek your head out, see if there's people, and just duck back in the cover. One thing I like to do is do it with snipers, where I'll be constantly just hitting A and D, just like looking for other sniper players, and most players will just sit like this and shoot. But while you're doing that, you just look for them, and then they die. So it's pretty cool. Another thing I want to touch on is when you are ADS behind cover, or you're behind a deployable shield, or just a headshot angle, you should always be moving left and right. You can throw in an occasional crouch, but you should always be left and right. Through the power of Counter-Strike, I got absolutely traumatized over this, because if anyone peeks you while staying still, you'll die. But like, in honesty, you're just making yourself an easier target if you stand still. There's no real reason to just go left and right, because most of the time the cover will extend, and you're just making yourself harder to hit for sniper players or any players that can really just like insta-give you. So just do that to be like more obnoxious, and it's just a really good habit to help you in any FES you play. The next thing I want to go to is crouch sliding. When you go into a crouch slide, you get into a lot of distance, but if you add it with a jump, go a lot of distance. And this will even go farther with a knife, but I can't pull out a knife in a firing range for whatever reason, so you gotta use this as an example. But something you can do, you could just do crouch, slide, jump, and then like once you land, you can immediately just spam crouch again, and then go into the AD, the second tip, and then just absolutely destroy them. Another quick tip I want to give is, let's say hypothetically there's a scenario, you're behind cover, and like there's a bunch of people in front of you, and if you shoot too long, you're gonna get traded. So what I'll do is I'll jump out of cover, I'll beam the guy really quick, and then I'll press Z to get back down to cover. But I think it's actually faster if you hold back and hit Z than just hitting Z forward. To me, it just feels like you're a bit harder to hit. I could be wrong. You can even hit prone side to side if that feels more comfortable, but doing this will get you out of a lot of situations where like you just want to pop out of cover, kill someone really quick, and you just don't want to get insta-traded, because a lot of time that situation will come up, and you can't be too greedy when there's just a group of people. Eventually they will notice, and due to how the fall off works also, a lot of guns can't insta-kill you before you just instantly go back down. So that's just another thing to know. Okay, I want to go into hip fire and building around ADS speed. The problem is this game is a little bit weird. I would say it's actually better to either commit to something that ADS is faster, Like going for a more build that's like focused on ADSing in every gunfight, or hip firing more in engagement, so using a green laser with a flashlight. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because in some games you can hip fire and then go into an ADS and it'll be pretty accurate, but due to the bloom, if you do that, you're just gonna whiff everything. So I would like think what you want in the build or how you want to fight these people. I would personally, I like to go well-rounded, but if I had to really choose, I would just choose ADS most of the time. Yeah, that's something to really consider. The next tip I'm going to give is clearing angles in isolation. So a lot of people just kind of like stand in the open. They don't think about the angles that they're approaching. And there's a class in this game that throws a smoke and a Molotov. And that's pretty good for just isolating people out into the open or just giving yourself cover to like fight people. Because in the end of the day, and I think this is really important to just think about, you should fight people smarter and not harder. Like, yes, you can improve your aim at the end of the day, and if you aim really well, you can get yourself out of the situation. But if you put yourself into a 1v1 and a favorable engagement, like a head glitch, for example, against one guy, you're probably going to win that fight majority of times. He might hit an insane shot on you, but you're more heavily to win that fight. And as a defender in most Battlefield games, or just games in general, defenders always have an advantage. Attackers want a 50-50 fight with those players. So if you are at a disadvantage or you're giving them, you should never be giving people fights that are advantage to you or to them. Yeah. And then the last tip I want to talk about is how to take engagements and finding openings. So this kind of goes to the like last thing I talked about a bit, but like if you pull up your map and you see your whole team pushing in one direction, honestly, you should just go around. The biggest example I can think of is Breakthrough Empire State. The last part I want to talk about is like taking some engagements and how you approach the map. Going back into like, I think it's better to take smarter fights and just certain engagements. Yes, you can push with your whole team, and it is good to be with your team because you get revived more often and you can help support each other. But when you're doing that, in those situations, most of your team is in one spot, which causes the enemy team to defend them from one spot. So Empire State is a great example on the second objective on Breakthrough. Once they take A or B, majority of players will only spawn on that one objective taken and push across the bridge through the middle. But what you can do is you can spawn in your spawn and just go to the far left or the far right, wherever objective's not taken, put up a spawn beacon, constantly have pressure over there so the enemy team is getting pinched in. And also, if you get in for whatever reason, you're going to flank a whole bunch of players. And yes, there could be a few players holding those same angles, but there's going to be way less because they're going to be focused on your horde of teammates. Okay, that's everything. I usually don't do these at the end of the videos, but if you have questions, just comment, or even like, I have a Discord link. I'm not really saying join because, you know, build a community, or so like, subscribe, all that jazz. I'm more so saying because, like, that's probably the best way to just, like, real-time ask me about the game if you have questions. I also haven't been able to, like, play as much and stream because 9-to-5 jobs suck ass. So, like, it's just a good way to, like, communicate with me if you have questions or whatever. I really don't mind helping and teaching a bit. Anyways, peace.